Hello everyone and welcome to Control Engineering tutorials in MATLAB. In this tutorial, we explain how to simulate a state space model in MATLAB when the control input, in this case this force F, is an arbitrary and user-defined signal. In our previous tutorial, we explained how to simulate state space models when F is actually a step function or an impulse function. In this tutorial, we go one step further and we don't have any assumptions, we don't make any assumptions on the type of the force F. That is, you can define F as you wish. And this is very powerful technique that you will learn in this video tutorial. Okay, so let's start with the system description. We're going to use as a test case a simple mass spring damper system shown over here. Mass spring damper systems can be seen as prototypes of a number of real-life systems, such as suspension systems in a car, robotic arms, even DC motors, etc. The system consists of the box with a mass of m that's attached by a spring with a spring constant of Ks and a damper with a damping constant of Kd to the wall. We assume that there is a force F acting at the box. This force F is actually our control force. X is the displacement of this box from its equilibrium point, denoted by this dashed vertical line. So how to model this system? Well, by applying Newton's second law, we obtain this ordinary differential equation describing the dynamics of the system. In this differential equation, F is the control force, x is the displacement, x dot is the first derivative of x with respect to time, that is x dot is actually velocity, x double dot is the second derivative of x with respect to time, that is x double dot is the acceleration, m is the mass of the box, kd is the damping constant, and ks is the spring constant. From this equation, we can obtain the second equation given over here. The next step is to introduce the state space variables. That is, we introduce a new state space variable called x1 and we assign x1 to x. Then we introduce the second state space variable x2 and x2 is equal to x dot. From these two equations, we can obtain these two equations by differentiating them. That is, if we differentiate this equation, we obtain that x1 dot is x dot, and this is actually equal to x2, since x dot is equal to x2. Then, if we differentiate this equation, we obtain that x2 dot is x double dot, and from this equation, we can see that x double dot is equal to this right-hand side, where we substituted x for x1 and x dot for x2, and consequently we obtain this part over here. Next, let us denote the force by u, and by substituting u in this equation, we obtain the second state equation that looks like this. Now, by introducing a state space vector x underline, where this symbol underline is used to distinguish the state vector from the displacement, and x underline is x1 and x2, we actually arrive at the state space model. This state space model is obtained by combining this equation and writing them in the vector format. So what did we do here? We simply placed x1 and x2 here, and by combining this equation and this equation, we can see from this equation that the first equation only depends on x2, and from the second equation, by grouping the coefficients and putting them in the matrix, we actually obtain this matrix. Similarly, we obtain the B matrix. We have 0, 1 over m, and then we denote A will be this matrix, B will be this matrix, x underline is this vector, and x underline dot is this vector. Now, we introduce an output equation. Here we assume that we can directly measure the position x, and consequently the C matrix of our output equation will be 1, 0, multiplying x1 and x2, and plus 0 multiplying u, since we are only measuring x1. We call this matrix as C, this matrix as D, and we obtain the standard state space model. The next step is to simulate the state space model to arbitrary control input signals. That is, we assume that f is a user-defined signal. And let's learn how to do this in MATLAB. Next, we explain how to simulate the system in MATLAB. First of all, let's clear the workspace and let's clear the command window history, such that everything is clean. The next step is to define the model parameters. Over here, I will assume that the mass is equal to 0.1 kilogram, spring constant is equal to 5, the units here are arbitrary, and Kd is equal to 0.01. Here's one warning. Do not assume large values of mass and Ks and Kd. This is because we are going to apply a relatively low magnitude force to the system. Okay. The next step is to define the system matrices. The matrix A is 0, 1 in the first row, and in the second row we have minus spring constant divided by mass and minus Kd divided by mass. This is our matrix A. The matrix B will be 0 and 1 over m. The matrix C is actually 0, 1. Actually 1, 0. Correction. And the matrix D is actually equal to 0. To define a state space model, we need to use the function ss. As the inputs of this function, we just provide a, b, c, d. And the output of the ss is our state space model. I will call the output as ss model. And here it is. And that's it. Okay, so let's evaluate this and let's see the results. And if you type here whose in the command window, you will see the SS model. Now if I again type SS model, I will see my complete state space model. Here's the matrix A, matrix B, matrix C, and matrix D. Okay, that's it. Let's continue. The next step is to define a control input. You can assume an arbitrary control input. Over here, for illustration purposes, I will assume that U is actually equal to, for example, 30 multiplying sine of 2t plus, or let's say minus. Let's use a minus to make the things more interesting. Minus 10 multiplying cosine 4t. Okay, so this is our input signal, and we need to define the time series of this input signal. For that purpose, we first need to define the time vector. The time will start from 0, it will have a step of 0.01, and it will end at 15 seconds. Then, our control input, which I will denote like this, is equal to, and then we have to just implement this function. It is 30 multiplying sine 2 multiplying time plus, or actually minus, 10 multiplying cosine multiplying 4 multiplying time. And that's it. Again, simple as that. Next, let's visualize this control input. We can do it like this. First of all, let's define a new figure. Let's call this figure figure 1. And in this figure, let's plot our control signal. On the horizontal axis, we will have time, and on the vertical axis, we'll control input. So let's simulate this, and let's see the output. And here it is. Here is our control input. Looks very nice. This is a typical harmonic function. And let's see how our system responds to this function. Okay, to do that, we need to use the function called lsim. Over here, I will create a new figure, figure 2, and I will plot the response by using the lsim. The first argument of the lsim is our state space model, so I will type ss model. The second input argument of lsim is actually the control input, control u, and the third input argument is time. And that's it. Simple as that. Let's see the simulation. Okay, here's figure 1 and here's figure 2. Figure 1 shows again a simple control input, and figure 2 shows both the control input as well as the response of the system. If you cannot distinguish what is the response of the system and what is a control input from this figure, you can simply insert a legend. And you can see the blue line is actually the response. And you can see that the periods are kind of similar to each other. However, there is a delay of the output compared to input. And that's it. The blue line again is the response of the system to this control system. And the gray line over here is actually the control input. Simple as that, nothing special. However, there is one issue over here. By doing this, that is by calling lsim, we are only able to graphically represent the system response. However, in many applications, you would like to actually extract the numerical values of the system response. So let's learn how to do that. Well, to do that, we need to define output and the simulated time. And then lsim will actually return these two vectors. Again, in lsim, we need to specify our model, control input, and time. And I will simply copy and paste this part over here. Now, let's run this and let's see again the output. Okay, let me close this. Now in the MATLAB workspace, if you type whos, you will see two variables. You will see ys, this is the computed response, and you can see ti, this is the time used to compute the response. And you can see ys and you can see ti. Perfect. Now, let us for verification create a new figure, call it figure 3, and let's plot ti and ys. Okay, and let's compare everything. Okay, so here's figure 3 and here's figure 2. You should focus on blue lines, the blue line here and the blue line here. You can see that they're actually identical. Notice only the scale difference over here and over here. Okay, that's it. And finally, let's learn how to simulate the response of the system to some initial conditions. Namely, over here, it's implicitly assumed that the initial condition is equal to 0. That is, the initial position and initial velocity are equal to 0. However, let's create a simulation that will actually simulate the system for arbitrary initial state. Let's first define the initial state. For example, let's assume that the initial position is equal to 2 and that the initial velocity is equal to -2. And then again, let's use lsim, and over here I will change these indices to have the subscript 2, and in addition to SS model, control u, and time, we need to specify x0. That is our initial condition. To summarize, you can use lsim also to simulate the system response to arbitrary initial condition. As the last argument, you will add your initial condition. And after that, let's plot the result. Let's define figure 3. And let's simply plot ti2, ys2. And that's it. Actually, this should be figure 4. Let's not make an error. And let's evaluate this. And let's analyze the result. Okay. So this graph over here, figure 3, is actually response of the system to 0 initial condition. You can see that the position starts from 0, and over here we have initial condition, that is we are starting from 2, and also we have initial velocity. And that's it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.